Released way back in 2006, Oblivion was heralded as one of the greatest games to ever release. It had impressive graphics, an incredible open world, and newer, smarter NPCs for the time. With many different ways to play, it's insane the amount of times you can replay it. But what if you wanted to play it in an unconventional way? Can you beat Oblivion without looting anything? I decided on being a wood elf, made myself the Omega Chad, and was thrown into a cell. Let's explain this run while some stupid criminal yells at me or something. Same rules as my Skyrim video, but in case you didn't see that, I cannot loot any chests, I cannot pick up any items, I cannot buy anything. The only way I can get something is if it is directly put in my inventory without me picking it up. I found out that, unlike another bad Bethesda game, late attacks with your fists actually drain stamina in this game. Astonished, the Emperor himself came to pay me a visit. With an inflated ego, I followed him and his bodyguards into a hole in the wall, where we encountered some assassins. One of the bodyguards died, and then they left me. Alone and afraid, rats bursted through the wall, and I punched him to death, surprised by how much damage I was doing. And guess what? That's right, it's not a Bethesda game if it doesn't destroy my hopes and dreams at the beginning, baby. This door is locked, and isn't a door you can clip through. I tried. I clipped through it with no clip, and there isn't a load area back there. Just like another Bethesda game, I have failed less than 2 minutes into the run. Fucking stellar. I tried casting some spells, killed a zombie, some rats, and I noticed that, unlike another Bethesda game, this game has unarmed damage as an actual skill. I figured this would mean I'd actually do damage this run, and it wouldn't be Volthyryol 2.0. Keep this in mind. It's important. I demolished a goblin. He didn't even see what was coming. Dropped some logs onto a couple others and realized just how strong my flare spell is. It does a ton more damage than my fists. Unlike that other game, this starter spell is actually pretty decent. Killing a shaman, I regrouped with the Emperor and his men. They tried to kill me, but Uriel the goat told them not to. He said he trusted me. He asked me what my sign was. Even though I'm not really into astrology, I picked the tower. He told me he was about to die. Saddened, I followed him. Boris gave me a torch. After having the torch out for about 3 seconds, I unequipped it and never equipped it again for the entirety of this playthrough. Me and the boys were put in an ambush, and the Emperor told me he was about to die. He gave me a wacky necklace, and even though I stood in the way of the assassin, he did indeed still die. Killing the assassin, Boris, the only surviving bodyguard, confronted me about it. Telling him I had the amulet, I was tasked with talking to a priest who apparently knew about the Emperor's only surviving heir. But first, I had to pick my class. Again, thinking that unarmed damage in this game actually scaled, I picked the class that uses unarmed, the monk, thinking it was going to be the majority of my damage. Boris gave me the key out of the sewers and I left, killing some more goblins along the way, and entered the world of Oblivion. Ah, behold that 2006 render distance. Rebooting the game, I extended my render distance so the game didn't look completely terrible, and fast-traveled to Wayne Priory, to meet with Joffrey, the priest who's supposed to know where the Emperor's last remaining heir lies. Giving him that cool necklace from earlier on something to do with a king, I was off to Kvatch to meet with Uriel Septim's last heir, an illegitimate son named Martin. On the way, I showed some bandits the might of a true Chad, died, and cheesed them on top of a rock. Then, my gigantic intelligence came into play when I ran into a guy giving me a quest to kill 7 bears. He said he would reward me if I brought him 7 bear fangs. So, I went, killed a bear, realized how fucking stupid I am, because in order to get the fangs, you need to loot them. Continuing to Kvatch, I tried out the persuasion system on a guard, arrived while this guy ran around like a moron, and I couldn't help but think that something might be off. I don't know what it was, but the entire walk up to Kvatch, something was bothering me, something just wasn't quite right. Ah, that's what it was. The whole city was being besieged by Daedra. Because I'm a special snowflake or something, I was tasked with going inside the Oblivion gate and shutting it off. No one else did it, it was only me, the man in rags and literal handcuffs. So, I walked towards the scamp, went to see my damage, and my immersion was broken when I couldn't just walk into the gate, went inside, and the low damage I deal was made very evident. I'll spoil it now. My damage doesn't change for the rest of this run. You wanna know what does change? Enemy damage and health. Oh yeah, baby, they both go up. My damage and health don't. Surviving the scamps, I met with Iland, however you pronounce that, and sent him back through the gate to safety. I needed to find a way to close this gate, so I ventured forward. These scamps almost killed me every time I fought one. I needed to wait an hour in between fights to even progress, but hey, I did in fact progress. Dying to a scamp, I entered the big old tower and got my ass handed to me. I ended up having to leave the tower and cheese the enemies by running away and firing a flare spell at them. I died doing this because I'm not allowed anything good in life, but it worked the second try. Re-entering the tower, I ascended up the tower, killing some danger along the way, and walked onto a walkway between this tower and another one. In this other tower, I killed a sigil keeper, and Mienin, if that's how you pronounce his name, told me in order to continue, I need to loot the key off of the sigil keeper's body. Using the key I needed to fail the challenge for, I climbed the rest of the tower. I would like to show you how a fight with your typical scamp goes. This is sped up by 300%. The reason I show this is I want you to keep in mind every enemy I fight from now on goes like this. Every single one. Hopeless, confused, upset, and most of all annoyed, I got to the top of the tower. And guess what? In order to close a danger gate, you need to loot a sigil stone. To answer the question, no. You cannot beat Oblivion without looting anything, because even if you were to somehow get past not having the keys, 2 Oblivion gates must be destroyed at the very least in order to beat the game. Depressed, I looted the sigil stone and headed back to Kvatch. Outside, the gate was destroyed and Savlian wanted to lead a counterattack, saying I had more combat experience than most of his men. Me. Following the guards into the city, we killed the Daedra and said hi to a character from Morrowind. Entering the chapel, a few men were left behind to escort the villagers back home. Leveling up, we went to the castle, but, of course, the drawbridge was, in fact, down. So, I had to go around through another entrance and unlock a door to enter. However, a guard had the key, and he was going to come with me to unlock the gate. So, keeping him alive, I was able to unlock the gate without having to loot another key. Killing more scamps, we entered the castle, and Savlian wanted me to find the Count. With the help of this guy, I ventured into the castle to look for it. After looking around, the Count was inside his chambers. Figure that. Anyway, the game wanted me to loot his ring and bring it back. I, obviously, could not do that. Heading back, I told Savlian that the Count was dead, thinking that the ring was optional. Sadly, he still told me to go grab his ring. So, faced with certain failure, what did I do? I left and never finished the mission. It's an optional mission, you don't need to do this. After wasting both my time and yours, I fast traveled down to the encampment and talked to Martin. He didn't confidently believe me that he was the heir to Uriel Septim, but for some reason, he decided to believe me. We both went back to Wayne Priory when disaster struck. The Mythic Dawn were attacking. After killing the cultists, Joffrey, Martin, and I went to find the amulet. But it was missing, because life can never be simple, apparently. Joffrey and I brought Martin up to Skyhaven Cloud Ruler Temple, an ancient temple for the blades that could withstand an attack from the Mehrunes Dagon. There, Martin could be kept safe while we looked for the amulet. I was off to speak with the Mad Land Boris. He was the guard from the beginning that didn't die. This guy, Jason Rillian, he's a knight from Kvatch. He followed me for the majority of this playthrough, and I don't really know why, but the man just decided to follow me around everywhere I go, I guess. Fast traveling to the Imperial City, I met with Boris. He told me that this guy in the corner would follow him when he got up, and wanted me to cover his back. Doing so, the stranger turned into a member of the Mythic Dawn and attacked him. Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Time for me to fail this run. In order to continue, I must loot a book off the cultist's body. I hate myself. Depressed, I told Boris that we found Uriel's hair. Martin. Overjoyed, Boris told me to go talk to a scholar named Tarmina about the book I just looted. Going to Tarmina, she told me that in order to find the Mythic Dawn, I would need to find all 4 books. She thankfully gave me the second one, so I wouldn't need to fail the challenge for that one. For the 3rd book, there was a bookshop nearby that had a chance of having it, so off I went to talk to a librarian. Waiting till day, I entered the bookstore and talked to Phintius. He said the 3rd and 4th editions, the one I need, were impossible to find. However, a person named Gwyneth was coming by later today to collect a 3rd volume. At first, Gwyneth didn't want to give me it, but he changed his mind when I told him that the Mythic Dawn assassinated the Emperor. With the 3rd volume in hand, Gwyneth told me that you can only get the 4th volume from a Mythic Dawn representative themselves. Thankful that I didn't need to loot any of those last 2 books, I was off to an appointment that Gwyneth made with one of the representatives. Meeting with Boris, he told me that he knew the area that the meeting was going to take place in. Going there, we killed some mud crabs and arrived. Boris went in pretending to be Gwyneth. Now, considering Gwyneth is a wood elf and Boris is a red guard, they quickly found out that Boris was not in fact Gwyneth, and attacked him. Determined to keep him alive, I ran in and died. After dying again, I succeeded and kept Boris alive, only for him to not loot the book for me.
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Frustrated, I failed the challenge, left the sewer, and was given a piece of paper by a courier. For interrupting my gameplay, I attacked him. Dying, I reached Tarmina and gave her the books. She told me that she could decipher the message out of it, but, of course, it would take a day for her to do so. Heading outside, I took a peaceful 24-hour nap on a bench and went to speak to Tarmina again. This time, she told me it had something to do with the first word of each page, but it would take her another day to decipher it. Not wanting to wait 24 hours again, I actually deciphered it myself. This was actually a lot of fun. I figured it out and wrote everything out on a notepad. I haven't played Oblivion since I was like 12, so having a quest where I needed to do something out of the game, even as simple as just write something out, was really fun. You just don't get quests like this in Skyrim. When I was done, the message read, Green Emperor Way when tower reaches midday sun. Going there, my waiting until daytime was interrupted by a stranger who gave me a note to join the Thieves Guild. Waiting again, I saw a tombstone with a map in glowing red. Going to this location, I was led to a secret meeting with the Mythic Dawn. Inside, I was told to give all my stuff to Harrow. Since I was doing an unarmed build, I decided to do it and went in stealthily. Of course, nothing in life is allowed to work for me, because the man, Jason Rillian, attacked them and blew my fucking cover instantly. Sneaking forward, Mankar Cameron himself was giving a speech. I tried to attack him, but he teleported away and I just died. Dying a few more times, I successfully killed all the cultists, and guess what? In order to continue, you need to loot the Mysterium Xarxes, a book left behind by Mankar Cameron. Todd Howard, I'm coming for you. After murdering a game dev, I released the sacrifice and left the cave. The sacrifice, Julius, told me he was a priest in a temple in the city, prompting me to visit him. I never did. Bringing the Mysterium Xarxes to Martin, he said he had ways to protect himself from its evil power, or whatever that means. This isn't a lore channel. If you wanted lore, go watch, like, Fudge Muppet or something. Anyways, I was told to talk to Joffrey about some spies that had been sighted nearby. Joffrey told me to talk to Captain Burden Bruma, as well as Stefan, the blade that saw the spies. Stefan told me that the spies were near a runestone at dusk. Going there, I got attacked by them, and they did a lot of damage. This is the point in the playthrough that I could no longer really kill anything alone. The damage most enemies deal and the health most enemies had, coupled with the incredibly low damage I deal, made almost every encounter end with my imminent death. Or maybe I just don't know how to play Oblivion, that might be true too. Luring the spies to Bruma, the guards killed them and I was off to talk to Bird. Bird told me the only person to enter the town recently was a person named... oh god, Jarl Balgruf? I went to their house and they turned into a Mythic Dawn agent and attacked me. You wanna know how stupid I am? On Jarl's body was a key to a basement. So, obviously, I'm looking to enter a basement somewhere. What do you think I did? I searched around her house, and I couldn't find a basement. Did I search it up on the internet? Did I look under the fucking carpet? No. I went door to door asking people about Jarl. My IQ is so high that it relapses into the negatives. After wasting around 10 minutes walking around like a dumbass, I re-entered my phone going off. Shut up. I re-entered Jarl's place and finally found the obvious basement in the center of her room. It was locked, but luckily, with my infinite wisdom, I chose the tower as my sign or whatever. The tower's ability is to unlock a medium lock once a day, so I was able to use it here and bypass having to loot a key. In the basement, I made sure to completely miss the obvious piece of paper that I needed to read and walk around like a fucking idiot for another 10 minutes. After my game crashed, I found the paper and was struck with an impasse. The quest wanted me to bring the paper to Joffrey. At first, I was afraid I'd have to fail again. However, just like Skyrim, you can read the paper without picking it up. I was scared this was going to end up like the countering quest, but luckily, I was able to somehow show it to Joffrey without looting it. Joffrey wanted me to help Bruma get allies. I never did. Talking to Martin, he said he needed 4 items to open a portal to Mankar Cameron's paradise, where the Amulet of Kings was. Depressed, I needed to get a Daedric artifact. Now, I don't play Oblivion. The last time I played it, I think I was 12. Either way, there may be an artifact you can get without looting, but I didn't really look into it. Either way, I failed the challenge again by looting glow dust off of a will-o'-the-wisp, and gave Azura the glow dust to talk with her. Azura wanted me to clear out some vampires to get her favor. Going to the vampire's lair, I attacked a vampire and quickly died. They just completely outdamaged me. So, I led the vampire out of the cave and ran away, occasionally shooting a flare back at them until they were dead. You might say, Euless, you didn't do this for every vampire, did you? And, Back at Azura's shrine, I told Azura I killed off the vampires and she gave me Azura's star. Returning to Martin, he took the star and told me to talk to Joffrey. Joffrey told me that an Oblivion gate had opened up next to Bruma and I was being sent to deal with it. I brought the Bruma guard with me, so the fights this time weren't painful and I kind of just let them do all the damage. At the top, you guessed it, I failed the challenge again. I've kinda given up on this run at this point. After admiring Bird's absolute dump truck, I was back to talking to Martin. This time he wanted me to bring him a divine artifact, the armor of Tiber Septim. The next few areas really dragged on, so I'm just gonna skip through them. Short synopsis: I killed some ghosts, looted Tiber Septim's armor. Martin wanted me to get a great Welkin stone. I went to get one, looted it, died to a king, clipped through a door, went back to Martin, and he told me he wanted to let the Mythic Dawn attack Bruma. I went to tell the Countess of Bruma about the impending attack. She wasn't too enthusiastic, but went to speak with Martin. There, she asked if Bruma really stood alone. I said yes, because in order to get help, I would need to close more Oblivion gates. And the siege of Bruma started. This was, as you can guess, difficult. I kinda just had to let the guards and Martin handle the fighting because they all obliterated me in combat and my attacks were about as useful as a wet napkin. Eventually, I got through the initial fight and had to enter the Great Gate. Here, I realized the worst. This whole section is timed. I had to fight and kill enemies with my wet noodle hands and get to the top all within 15 minutes. I chose the manly way of things and fucking booked it through the level. Dying a few times, I got to the top, looted a key off the Sigil Keeper, failing the challenge, and looted a Sigil Stone for that double whammy challenge failure. With the end in sight, I gave Martin the Great Sigil Stone. With it, Azura's Star, Tiber Septim's armor, and the Great Welkin Stone, I made a portal to paradise and entered the endgame. Finally, after enough filler to make Naruto jealous, I was in paradise. Ignoring most enemies, I made my way forwards until I met with Kathutet. He offered me a choice of service or fighting him. Knowing my fists are as strong as a moist towelette, I chose service. I needed to free a Daedra named Anaxes. Freeing him, I ran back to Kathutet, who gave me the bands of the Chosen, which locked around my wrists and let me continue. Inside the Forbidden Grotto, I again ignored most enemies until I ran into a guy named Eldamil. He offered to help me fight Mankar Cameron as he regretted his decision to become one of the Mythic Dawn. He put me in a cage to hide from a Daedra, and together we walked through the Forbidden Grotto. He removed the bands of the Chosen from being locked around my wrists, and we left. Outside, we walked a total of 3 steps until we ran into Mankar Cameron's kids. They said Mankar Cameron was expecting me, and I entered. He wore the Amulet of Kings and gave his high and mighty speech. I knew Mankar Cameron was a difficult fight, I knew he would be hard, but I thought with Eldamil, he might make it somewhat doable.
Are you sure about that?
I figured this would mean I'd actually do damage this run, and it wouldn't be Volther Y'all 2.0.
And I'd actually do damage this round.
I was surprised when I actually killed him. I had started to believe it wasn't even possible. Failing the challenge, I looted the Amulet of Kings and was sent back to Martin. I gave him the amulet and was off to light the Dragonfires, therefore ending the Oblivion crisis. Once there, we met with a representative of the Elder Council, and, because this game hasn't done it enough already, disaster struck, and the city was being attacked by Daedra. Martin and I ran off to light the Dragonfires before Mehrunes Dagon could enter. But we were too late as he had already stepped foot onto Tamriel. Martin was at a loss until I reminded him that he had the Amulet of Kings. Shattering it, Martin became an avatar of Akatosh, and after a short battle, he sent Mehrunes Dagon back into Oblivion, ending the Oblivion crisis. And I did not beat Oblivion without looting anything. If you got this far, you probably enjoyed what you watched. YouTube tells me that 94% of you watching this aren't subscribed, so I'd greatly appreciate your support as these videos take a lot out of me and take a while to edit. If you want to go support my other channel, it's there as well, just know it's pretty different in terms of content. Anyways, thanks for hanging around, and we'll see what I get up to next. I'm a threat to government security.